What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode 37 of the Brahma Bullpen, and we're back as it should be. We're back to winning Monday, baby. We're recording after a beautiful game on Sunday where the Brahmas pretty much dominated. I don't care what anybody says, 19-9. That score sounds way closer than it actually was. Our defense was lights out. We're going to get into that. We got tons of highlights. Thanks for watching the video. But first, before we go, while you're all here, before anybody goes, you need to watch this highlight video, basically the rundown of what happened to the game on Saturday night. So here it is. Shout out to the San Antonio Brahma social media guys, whoever runs the X account made that little GIF and posted it. So when I saw it, I was like, yeah, definitely GIF of the week. Essentially, that's what happened at the game. Before we get too far into just the Brahmas game, let's kind of just talk a little bit about the weekend that was. Week 4 here at the UFL. We're going to pop the scores up there. Starting off with St. Louis doing St. Louis things, dominated the Boats. As we all know, the Brahmas beat the Boats, and we lost to St. Louis. So makes perfect sense. It looks like St. Louis offense was really rolling this past weekend, 32-17. The Stallions and the DC Defenders, lightning delay. We'll call that the lightning delay game. Depending on what kind of fan you are, if you're a DC fan, you think the lightning delay basically saved Birmingham from taking the L. If you're a Birmingham fan, you live in your old world and everything's perfect and they were going to win no matter what. And 3,000 people in the seats is a great number. We'll talk about that later. It'll make sense. And then the Brahmas on Saturday night, 19-9. Definitely a defensive game where the Brahmas defense was lights out, man. There's no other way to discuss that. And then, of course, if everybody knows the storyline with Chase Garbers going out. Dormady came in and did his thing. Brahmas got the win, 19-9, and remained the second ranked team in the XFL conference and probably the third best team in the entire league. Then the Egg Bowl, the Goose Egg Bowl, the Arlington Renegades versus Houston Roughnecks there on Sunday, the only game on Sunday, which was kind of weird. It was almost like there wasn't even a game on Sunday, but it turns out there was one. 17-9. Mark Townsend came back in that game. Houston took a step forward. Arlington took a step back. There's debate on the league now who's the worst team in the league, whether it's Memphis Showboats or Arlington. It depends on what side of the coin you are on for that. With that being said, after those games, here are the standings overall for the UFL. You can see the XFL there with St. Louis on top. Brahmas are also 3-1, number 2 in the league. St. Louis has the tiebreaker for us. DC's 2-2. Poor DC. Arlington at the bottom of the league going 4. I mean, if they don't start winning games, they're unfortunately at a 10-week season, 10-game season, man, to go 0-5 would be almost a death knell, right? Then you got the USFL division where the Birmingham Stallions are 4-0 and have looked pretty dominant in every game they won. Now, there was some chinks in the armor that DC showed this past weekend, but hey, man, they still won. So it's like, winning is winning, and it doesn't always have to be pretty, right? Memphis Showboats, I don't know what's going on there. Their old line's probably their weakness. Case Cookis is just running for his life back there. And then you got the Houston Roughnecks, who got their first win of the season over the Arlington Renegades. And so there you go. Yeah, man, those are standings. Let's go ahead and start talking about our game, right? Enough of the league stuff. This is the Brahma Bullpen. We are live down here in the cow pasture. So let's talk about cow pasture stuff, right? Stats from the game. 6 p.m. kickoff. Fiesta weekend in San Antonio. Puro Fiesta. Let's go. I did all of it. I drank at the Brahmas game. I went to the Carnival, and I drank at Fiesta. I might have went to a few bars. Who knows? There might even still be people looking for me somewhere. But here we are. We made it through the weekend. Got to Monday. Here's the stats. The Brahmas won 19-9. We're 3-1. Panthers are now 2-2. I think this game was the determining factor on who was the third best team in the league, right? Panthers probably fell below DC. We'll talk about power rankings in our next week's preview episode. But the stats you see here, 2 TDs to their 1, 19 points to their 9. Dormady came in with a 62% completion rating for his first game, cold, right off the bench, just jumped right into that AJ offense. Might have something to do with all those virtual reps my boys be taking there in that proprietary, technologically advanced training room they call up there in Arlington. They got something going on where they take reps virtually, and it seems to be helping out. 264 passing yards to Michigan's 140. That's the first sign of defensive dominance there. Our rushing yards, we had 22 attempts with only 1.9 yards per attempt. If I was going to pick on a stat and say this needs to get better before we play Birmingham, because make no doubt about it, we have 2 teams that we need to watch out for. We need to be able to beat Birmingham because they're the best in the league, and we need to make sure that we can stay on top of DC by beating everybody else in our conference. St. Louis is going to make the playoffs. That's who everyone's fighting to play. If you're in the XFL conference, your goal right now is to win enough games to play St. Louis in the playoffs, because I do not think St. Louis is going to lose the game. So I think that's something that needs to improve if we want to stay ahead of DC and be able to compete with the big boys, so to speak, and really take that next step forward. Not that I don't think we can't compete with them now. I mean, we're one score away from being 4-0. And we would have done that. I'd be here telling you right now, Birmingham, watch out, we're coming for you. But we didn't. We lost by 1 score against St. Louis in week 3. So here we are. Getting down to the third down conversion. It's been up and down for us this season, a lot of downs. Last week was actually a pretty good third down conversion rate. This week, 4 of 11, whereas the Panthers went 2 of 11. Better than them, but probably like to see that go up a little bit too. A red zone was pretty good. We had been getting 100% red zone efficiency for the last few games, but now 2 of 4 is not bad. Look at this stat for Michigan, 0 for 1. They only got in the red zone 1 time, which tells you what was happening in the game, right? They have this all-star kicker, the field goal kicker, that could kick the ball from basically anywhere in the field, but he kicked 1 field goal. He never really had a chance to do much more than that because they were rarely on the plus side of the 50. They were getting to the 50-yard line and punting it, man. So kudos to our defense, and we do have some defensive highlights coming up later. Penalties in the game, we only had 4 penalties for 40 yards. We started tracking this number because penalty yards in the game we lost against St. Louis were critical. 6 penalties for 48 yards for the Panthers, so pretty even there. But our defense was just lights out. We had 6 sacks. Every sack was by a different player. We had 1 interception and 1 forced fumble. So it just shows you that our defense was flying around the ball, ripping the balls out, ball hawking. You know what? Don't let me tell you. Let me show you, because our defense was so stellar this past weekend. We got just a defensive highlight video. Let's let it roll.
First down from the 31. First play from scrimmage for Michigan is a problem. He's going to go down. Perry. Longest play of the game for Michigan. Colburn is in. Here's Perry again scrambling, and he is twisted down.
Oh, my media, of course.
That's what I'm saying. First trip to the red zone for Michigan. Oh, my goodness. He got smoked. Tim Ward got in on Perry and leveled him. There's just no time for E.J. Perry all day long. He tries to set in the pocket and has to break out once again. And down he goes. He grabbed the back of his leg.
Z's, your flanker and your split end to get in tight.
Handling under siege, spins out of it, and crashes forward. He might have lost the football. The ball's on the ground. The beanbag is out. This might be San Antonio football. He got belted.
Oh,
Atling gets hit, spun around, keeps his feet, and now he's in a wrestling match that he is going to lose with a helmetless Jalen Dalton.
Everybody's behind the line.
Yeah, nobody wants to rush. They're going to rush 4. Atling loads up. He throws, gotta have it into coverage, and picked off.
How about that, fellas? I mean, just a dominating day on defense. Let's go ahead and read out the names who got sacks in this game. Tim Ward, 1 sack for a -9 yards. Jordan Williams, 1 sack, -1 yard. Emily Prince, 1 sack, -1 yard. Riot Way, 1 sack, -1 yard. Teron Vincent, 1 sack, -4 yards. And then you saw that highlight where Jalen Dalton, 1 sack, -17 yards with no helmet. 6 sacks for -42 yards. What a freaking day our defense had. If we could give out player of the game to our front 7, that's what we would do. We give out a Brahma Bullpen player of the game every week. It's kind of been like the new Madden curse. I don't know if you've been kind of paying attention, but every player we've picked for player of the game has gotten hurt and missed time the following week. Week 1, we picked Alec Millette. He's on injury reserve, right? Week 2, we picked Chase Garbers. He went out on injury reserve. Week 3, we picked McFarland. He didn't play in week 4. He did not practice, and Lovett got the start. So I'm kind of worried about picking player of the week. I don't want to be accused of giving old hold to all these guys down saying maybe I need to go start touching them or something. I don't know, man. If you're Poodle San Antonio, you'll know what that means. If you're not, then don't worry about it. But with that, let's go over some of our player of the week candidates. There was a lot to choose from. We just talked about our defensive 7. You saw all those sacks. We had turnovers and everything going on in the game. But let's talk about a couple of wide receivers, man. Justin Smith and Jonte Kirkland were off the chains. Now, they didn't get a touchdown. We only scored 2 touchdowns throughout the game. One of them went to Stevenson. The other one was a running play by Lovett. We'll show you those highlights here in a little bit. But look at these stats. So Justin Smith was targeted 8 times, caught the ball 7 times, 107 yards receiving, and had 1 reception for 39 yards that we'll show you here in a minute. We got Jonte Kirkland, 8 targets, 5 receptions, 105 yards with a 43-yard long reception. So just crazy. So right now, let's watch the Kirkland catch first. How did he catch that ball? How did it get in there? You want to talk about eye-hand coordination and paying attention. Now, let's show a little highlight of my boy Justin Smith catching a ball. And maybe showing Dormady with a little touch pass.
Defensive end.
And there's a stunt at the line by Michigan. Dormady has a chance to lob it downfield, and he's got it. Justin Smith.
Man, just lobbing it up there. Justin Smith turning around, running backwards, catching the ball. Amazing. Just talk about athletes. Speaking of athletes, let's watch the 1 passing touchdown that Dormady had in the game.
Corner route to the bottom of the screen.
That's Lovett, the tailback. Dormady to throw to the end zone. It's a touchdown, Stevenson.
Stevenson not only got the dance move, he's got that tutty. There was a lot of misdirection going on that play, right? You saw running back went to the flat. The tight end wasn't in motion. He came across in the backfield, ran out into the flat on the other side, was able to get enough room to get open and give Dormady a chance to get in the ball. Freaking awesome. Another great play. Lovett didn't have a lot of yards, but he did pick up tough yards for us. A couple times we had a 3rd down and short. He was able to put his head down and go get it. And then also he had this monster of a touchdown run where he basically just runs some fools over.
They put Kirkland in the slot. It's a run. It's Lovett. It's a touchdown.
Lovett shall not be stopped, right? Short. Maybe he's our short yardage guy. He's going to go up there and get us those hard yards that we need. And while we're talking about offensive players that have done amazing things this year, let's not forget our new field goal kicker who just signed. This is his 2nd game. and he hasn't missed a field goal yet.
From 36. Oh boy, he just slid it through. Man, that was a breaking ball in the outside corner.
Hey man, Santos is doing his thing out there. You know, he's accurate. He's accurate. So, you know, we miss destroying. We miss the hype of destroying, but we got us a football player there kicking field goals. That one there was a little questionable, but hey, it went in. That's all that matters. Score and winning the game is all that matters. So with that being said, we talked about the defense. We talked about the front seven. You know, we showed you some highlights from our wideouts and our receivers. Went over some stats of the game. So now it's time to pick out our player of the week. And please, everybody forgive me, but I had to do it. I mean, how could a player of the week not be Dormady? He came in off the bench cold, hadn't played all season. Who knows how many first-team reps he's even gotten before this week leading up to the game. But he was what you would consider a professional. He was ready to go, next man up. When he was called on, he was there. He passed for 23 out of 37 attempts, 269 yards. He had a touchdown. That's a 62% completion rating, and his QBR was 126.7. For a guy with not very many reps, our offense looked as sharp as it had since week one, right? Like, I mean, we really didn't miss a beat. Running game struggled a little bit. That might be due to, the Panthers, defense, not so much our offense. But, we got the win, 19-9. And if you're still here, I'm going to apologize for something because, once again, I'm going to talk about attendance numbers. We have people basically saying, hey, attendance doesn't matter as long as they watch it on TV, right? TV is where the money comes from. You don't need attendance to be successful. That's absolutely false. I don't know what pro sport of any throughout this entire planet that you've ever seen be successful, at least super successful, without fans in the seats, fans in the stadium, without butts in the seats. Here we got St. Louis with a home game this week, 31,757. They took a step back from week one, which is fine. A lot of week one hype, opening game hype. That's cool. 31,000, phenomenal number. Everybody keeps saying the benchmark for spring league should be 10,000. I don't think the benchmark should be 10,000. The benchmark should be 20,000. 10,000. We get that for high school games here in the state of Texas. I don't understand why people think 20,000 is the benchmark. Birmingham, 7,576 people. I was getting attacked on Twitter last week and people started giving me like metro data. Like, well, if you look at the metro of Birmingham and compare it to how many people were there, and then there's an Alabama game over here, and this week it wasn't the Alabama game, which is a problem. It was a NASCAR race somewhere, and then there was drizzling or there was rain, the weather. Look, Birmingham's had home games for 3 years, and here we are with probably the best team in spring football history that basically does nothing but dominate and win. And they're still making up excuses instead of just admitting that their fan support sucks. Your fan support sucks, okay? And if it doesn't change and these teams don't start getting 20+ thousand in their minimum 20+ thousand in the seats, guess what's going to happen? They're going to look back at the San Diego spring football deal in the AAF. They're going to look at the Seattle team that was in the XFL last year, where they were averaging a lot more people at the games, and they're going to take your damn team and put them there. San Antonio, 11,251 people. I'm talking to you. Look, it was Fiesta this past weekend, and that shouldn't be an excuse. I was able to partake in the Fiesta festivities and the Brahmas beating the crap out of the Panthers festivities. I had a great time. Consumed way more liquid libations than I probably should have. What's wrong with the rest of San Antonio? I'm not a superhero. I'm an old white guy out of shape. If I could do it, you can do it. Houston, 7,176. I can kind of understand this Houston deal, right? First home games, didn't play, team swapping. Who knows what's going on over there? But Houston's a huge city, man. 7,000 people there. That is wild. People, go to the games. I'm begging you. Go to the games. If you want football in your city, pay the $10, $15, or $20. San Antonio had tickets starting at $10 for the game this past weekend. Other teams had $12. Other teams had $20, just depending. Go to games, please. Do the Bullpen a favor, go to games, because I don't want to see my San Antonio Brahma team move to freaking Austin. And if you're from San Antonio, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Get your butts to the game. I'm done with that rant. As always, baby, we got the dub. We got another episode coming out this week where we're going to preview next week's game. Until next time, horns forward, baby. Let's go Brahmas.